Hi, this is Stacy Suniga with the Sham Bell. Welcome back, everybody. I'm joined today with with a special guest named Kimber, who is an organizer and actually kind of reinstituted the Greeley-Weld Indivisible chapter. Which I'll go ahead and let Kimber. Kimber, welcome. You want to tell us what really Indivisible is?
Hi, Stacy. Thank you for having me today. Greeley-Weld Indivisible is a group of non-partisan activists in Greeley, Colorado, and we service all of Weld County and cover districts 8 and District 4 here in this county. And we have been so lucky because we were the ones that got Gabe Evans in District 8 and Lowen Bobart in District 4 that we have to work to get out of office as soon as we possibly can.
Right. Yeah, I totally agree. I know anybody who's seen this show, I've spoken up about Gabe Evans and what a disappointment, definitely that he's been doing a terrible job, not representing his people. But
Mm-mm.
so you mentioned those two, and I agree. You know, Lauren Boebert is a joke of a representative, and I kind of had that feeling about Gabe Evans. Just because of his constant lying during his campaign,
Mm.
and apparently that hasn't stopped. But as far as the role of Greeley Indivisible, what kind of grievances are you seeing with these two Congress people?
Well, one of the biggest problems that we're having right now is that I personally went down to Gabe Evans' office on the 5th of February, and I adamantly said, we need to have a town hall, and we need to do it sooner than later. And since that time, we haven't been able to find anybody in his office, which I thought was kind of interesting. I know that you did have a chance to go down and visit down there and you caught them, but ever since then, everybody that's gone to his office, nobody can get a hold of him, anybody in the office. So at this point, we decided that we're going to start calling him Ghosting Gabe. Um, I know that there's been a few other indivisible groups that have milk cartons with Gabe Evans and Lauren Bobart's pictures on them, which I thought that was kind of too bad we can't sell them in the grocery store.
Right.
you know,
We could make T-shirts.
yeah, right. That would be kind of
Yeah.
fun. Yeah.
Actually, we have a resource. We should make, missing. Have you seen
Uh,
this
yes.
person?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that would really be good. But I think one of the things, like, I know there's several groups in the area that are working on getting town halls. I believe there's one set for the 22nd, and I think it's going to be like more down in the North Glen, Thornton area. And it will probably more than likely be an empty chair town hall. Um, we are working with Indivisible National because we want to do like how we did with Corey Gardner back in 2018 when we got the cardboard Corey out and we started taking him around to parks and wherever we were and asking constituents, hey, what do you think of the job Corey's doing? Well, apparently we made an impression because Corey Gardner's no longer in office. And he was
Yeah.
only a one-term senator. So we want to make sure that happens with Gabe Evans here in this district. And with Lowen Bobart, she just needs to go. I don't understand how these people. I was watching a news clip. I've been trying to stay away from the news as much as possible. But every time I turn on my television, I just can't understand how these people can lie to the American people with a straight face. It's like, they sit there and they tell us, oh, I'm a Christian, and I believe in God's word and stuff like that. But then they sit there and they lie, one lie after another with a straight face. And it's like, how do they live with themselves? I
Right.
just can't understand that.
Um, yeah, I do too. I wonder what Christ they're actually following because it's not the one that I know from a New Testament perspective, but
uh,
yeah, it's all hypocrisy. I mean, I think
uh-huh,
that's what the problem is. Like we're not going to watch what they do.
uh-huh,
You could say whatever you want, but I had some really good advice from a good friend, gosh, about 5 years ago. It says, people show you who they are. And I was so frustrated with Evans during his campaign, because I knew he was lying about his opponent, who was then Caraveo, who had that office. And I knew that a lot of the things, because I watch politics, and a lot of things he was saying were just exaggerations and lies. And then he comes out, he wins this seat, and he goes, "Oh, Weld County's going to see more of me than they did under Caraveo." Well, I don't know. Where would you have to look under the rocks? Where do we have to look for him? Right? Is he slithered like a
Pretty much.
snake? Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, well, I found it really interesting last week when he showed up, down at the Capitol about his immigration thing, bill against, and it really it really made me mad, because it's like he's attacking his own people.
Yeah.
It's like you are attacking people that live in your community, but he can do that and get on national news, but he can't come see his constituents. It just doesn't make any sense. It's like
He's there.
they're afraid of us. They're afraid of us. I mean,
Yeah.
if you really think about it, they are absolutely afraid of us.
Well, that should be the first clue, right? If you're afraid of your own constituents, why the hell are you sitting in that job? You obviously aren't doing what your constituents need or want.
Right.
And I knew he was going to be in it for himself from the start. We had invited him. I'm president of the Latino Coalition, and we had invited him and all candidates to come before, the election, to come in, and we were going to ask some questions on Latino issues. Well, he was putting out his Latino roots out there for everyone to hear, hoping to gain favor with Latino voters. But he didn't have the time of day to come to this thing. And so I made a pretty public spectacle about it. But there he was when Trump came in a week or two later to lie about Aurora. And we all know. And and Gabe Evans is doubling down on that crime in Aurora by immigrants. We all have been to Aurora. You don't see the bullshit that they're saying is happening. I mean, there's crime everywhere, right? I mean, everybody has.
Absolutely. One of the things that really, really gets me is especially somebody like Gabe Evans, people who immigrate here illegally, they're not going to be in places where you can easily find them, but they're acting like they're here in places where you can find them. And I know this for a fact, because my sister-in-law came here. She was brought here by coyotes. And it took her like 6 years or more to get her legal status in the country. But she came here because she needed to get away from the things that were happening in her own country. And she wasn't out there where everybody can find her real easy. She was in hiding, her and her family. And it just doesn't make any sense to me how, they keep going, "Oh, these illegals are doing this and these illegals are doing that." Well, who are the illegals? That's what I want to know. I'm like, seriously, because most people that come here, they come here for a reason. They come here for sanctuary. And right now, nobody can get any sanctuary in our country. Not even the people that are not, I don't know. Here's the thing. I'm white. I'm very white, as you could tell, But the thing is that, for centuries, people of color have had to fight for everything they have, just like the women in this country have had to fight for everything they have. And within a matter of a month and a half, almost 2 months, they have tried to tear down everything that we have fought for in this country. LGBTQ, they have fought hard. I mean, I grew up in the 70s, so the 60s and the 70s, so I got to see everything progress and everybody winning all these rights, and now they're trying to take away all those rights. And it just isn't, it's not right. It's so wrong on so many different levels.
Well, it is. And I think that's part of the structural racism that this country really kind of built itself upon. And in that sense, I think we need to tear that down. And and restructure. But the way Trump is doing that, he's holding that standard high. Like, we're going back to, no more DEI. And it just doesn't affect people of color. It affects people with disabilities and anybody who would have a harder time or even knowing about a job that they could apply for without the DEI ideal. You know, it's crazy that the Trump administration is like holding that as the standard. It's like we're going back to the 50s and the 60s, and that he's taken us back. He's not taking us forward, but his voters expected that. I think in some level, most of his voters doesn't like the way that this country had been going, the inclusivity that was happening. But what boggles the mind is the people who were under the DEI umbrella voted against themselves, and they voted for Trump. It's like cultural racism inside the culture, like I know people of Latino descent that want to put their problems on the new immigrants coming in. I mean, it's no different. It's like, you want to feel better than someone else. You want to feel like you're superior, but maybe you didn't have to make those sacrifices, but someone in your ancestry did. And you're here by the grace of that courage and that chance that they took. And for you to look down on others who want the same for their families, it's just like this bullshit. Screw you. That's the selfishness of this whole campaign is, look out for me. I'm number one priority. We all live here together. But so when you put your priorities for yourself as law, it screws the rest of us.
Absolutely. And, here's the thing. Like you said, with the DEI, it covers just about every single person there is in this nation, if you really think about it. And it's becoming more and more apparent to me that these people that are trying to take away SNAPs, Wheels on Wheels, Medicaid, Medicare, Social Security, have never had to work within those systems, especially like the welfare system. It's really hard to get welfare in this country, but they're saying that everybody, that the people that are getting it needs to be taken away from them because they don't need it. And I don't know. I'm like really frustrated right now, and I'm beginning to feel like, and I've even done this with my city council. If these people don't want to see their constituents and meet with their people, then they have no business being in office,
Right.
because we're the ones that matter. We, the people. It's the first line of the Constitution is we, the people, not I, Congress, I, President, I, whatever. Right now, one of the things that we've been doing with Greeley-Weld Indivisible is we've been taking in food donations so we can get it to the communities that need it the most. And today I was like at the grocery store, and I'm sitting there going, how do they expect people to eat? I mean, when a TV dinner is like $5, and if let's take the disabled and the senior community right now. A lot of people don't have profit sharings or those benefits from jobs because they worked in everyday jobs like food service. So they don't have those extra benefits. So when they retire or they become disabled, the max they're going to get is probably about $1,500 a month. The majority of the seniors and disabled people I know in this get between like $1,300 and $1,500 a month. Well, how do people expect those people to live off that amount of money, especially when they're taking away the extra services like SNAPs and Medicaid and things like that help these people survive? We're not, to me, it's not about helping the people. It's about how do we get richer than we already are. That's what I'm seeing.
Yeah, I think this whole administration is about or focus on the rich. There's no other explanation for it. Those billionaires who are so, and especially if they were silver spooned, they have no idea what it's like
Uh-uh.
to
No.
live on the median income. They have
Uh-uh.
no idea. They're out of touch,
Uh-uh.
but it's never enough. They want
Uh-uh.
more. It's
Uh-uh.
like this greed, this gluttony of wealth can't be satiated.
Uh-uh.
And it's just really ridiculous. And for people to ever believe the rich will take care of you, give me one example. Give me one example of a corporation that has taken out of profit sharing, right?
Uh-huh.
Or to stakeholders and said, no, we're not going to give this to you. We're going to give it to our employees, or we're going to, commit to, having all these millions, to those that, to the elderly, right?
Uh-uh.
That never happens.
Uh-uh.
Trickle down theories is just, it's not even a real thing. It
Right.
never existed.
Yeah. And what's really funny? And it's like, they all sit there and they tout that they're Christians, right? In the New Testament, 1 Corinthians chapter 13 talks about faith, hope, charity, and love, right?
Mhm.
And charity should be like the number one thing. Didn't Jesus kick a whole bunch of people out of church because they weren't giving enough tithes or something like that,
Yeah.
because they were too rich or something?
Oh, you turned the tables that they were selling. It was a market in the temple.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
No.
It's just a really, really, really sad state that this whole country's in right now. And
Mhm.
I remember being 1976 bicentennial year, and it was like there was so much, everybody was like so excited. It's like, wow, we've survived this long. And I feel like here we're coming up on 250 years next year of a government for the people and by the people. And I feel like right now that this is not a government for and by the people. I feel it's for and by the rich.
Mhm.
And it's just really sad because the government, our government, and it doesn't matter, rich, Democrat, Republican, all like right now, this is how, and this is just personally how I feel. It isn't about the people on the bottom. It's about how can we get richer. Even Trump said something a couple of days ago about how the country's going to get richer. Well, the country's not going to get richer. It's going to be those in the top 1% to 2% that are going to get richer, not us. We're going to have to struggle. And it really scares me because for the first time in my life, I feel like that our democracy has, for years, like when Trump's the first administration, we kept going, democracy's dying, democracy's dying. Well, yeah, it was dying, but it has really died since Trump 2.0. Our rights are being taken away. I saw something yesterday about how they want to try to control women on social media. I'm like, really? Are we really going back to that time?
Yeah. And this is exactly why, Kimber, when Biden won and Trump was not given that second term, I was so relieved. I mean, it could have been Big Bird, and I wouldn't have given a damn, as long as it wasn't Trump, because I knew in my heart and in my soul, I knew he would do the stuff he's doing now, because he was in term limited. Nothing was going to hold him back. I mean, he didn't need another election, right? So he was going to throw shit against the wall, see what stuck, like he's doing now. He's testing the waters. He's seeing how far he can go. And if it wasn't for our court system, he'd be there. Him and this foreigner Musk, who has no business in this country, let alone telling us how to run it, right? And so now you're seeing things because the courts are holding him up. All his little sycophants, right, are, okay, we're going to try to impeach this judge. And now he signed an executive order, and I don't know the full details, but it just recently, like within the day or two, that put some pressure on lawyers, on legal firms, because they're taking these cases and stuff. And so, yeah, it's nothing but what he wants is a Russia, Putin control 2.0 in this country, and that's where they're headed. And I even don't trust this tanking of the stock market, because the oligarchy, right? Well, there's whispers that, well, it's going to tank. All these rich people are going to buy up all this stock, and then it's going to go up, take control of the market. You don't know what's really happening when you have such distrusting people in the leadership.
Right. Well, for the first time, I feel like this is our dark ages. Like in the, back in the day, they had the dark ages. I feel like this is our dark ages. And I heard that, I think it was Maine or Vermont was like, said something about like not sending federal taxes to the government, that they would just collect them and they would just, I think that every state that is against what's happening right now should do that.
I agree.
I think we should all like start, maybe we should put on our next election, if we even have another election. That's one of my concerns too. But our next election, I think there should be an initiative on the ballot as whether or not we disband from the United States and become our own little, Colorado. You can visit the country of Colorado or, the country of California or whatever. But, it's getting to that point. And one of the things that really bothers me is I never in my life thought I would actually hear people in my own community say, if this keeps going, we're going to go into a civil war. We will have a civil war, and I'm ready to take up arms against my country. I have heard that more than once in the last week, and that just scares the daylights out of me, that people are even have to think that we need to go to civil war.
Right. Well, it gives you a good understanding of people. They're not going to put up with this. We're a democracy. We have a constitution. I mean, I said it before on one of my series is like, I don't remember anybody saying, oh, I want to be like Russia. And all of a sudden, because Trump is actually, he hasn't said that, but I mean, his actions are definitely speaking it. They're just falling in line. And I even gave warning to Congress people. Why are you, and I should have called this whole series Up Trump's Ass, because I say that all the time, right?
Right.
I mean, all of these people in office who are up Trump's ass, he's making decisions without them. What makes them think that we're even going to have a Congress, right? Do we need a Congress? It could be more, he wants an advisory that is going to kiss the ring, clean his golf balls. I don't know. It could switch to an advisory that he has full control over.
Well, if you think about it, really think about it, everything that Trump... Okay, let's go back. Let's talk about those executive orders. Executive orders are only supposed to be used when the two parties in Congress cannot come to an agreement. It's supposed to be like an emergency thing, not something that should just be willy-nilly. Right. And the Congress and the Senate, they are supposed to be the people that say, halt, no, we can't do it. We have to do it this way. These are the protections that were put into place, just like the bureaucracy was one of the things that was put into place. They're trying to eliminate the bureaucracy. They don't care what the Congress has to say. Nothing's going through Congress. It's just this guy with a little, a Sharpie, that he's just signing these little pieces of paper because he thinks this is the way that the government should run. That's not how it's supposed to be. And like you said, with the courts, the courts are supposed to be our protection. But you know what? I'm calling out courts too, because where were they in the last 4 or 5 years when all these cases that were brought against Donald Trump, what were they doing? They were just signing his bullshit, excuse my language, but seriously, that's all they were doing. They were just co-signing his bullshit. They allowed him to get elected as president because they didn't have the nerve to take it, to let the people know exactly what happened in those cases. January 6th, the records being taken from the White House and kept in a bathroom at Mar-a-Lago. I mean, come on, seriously? Right. So where is our protection? Because right now, those people that are supposed to be protecting us are not protecting us. And while, yes, we have had some judges that have tried to put a halt to some of this stuff that he's been doing, it's not enough. Unless our representatives and our senators and the Supreme Court are not taking a stand, unless they take a stand for us, we're all losers. And the only one that's winning are Trump and Elon Musk.
Right. And it might be boots on the ground, and hopefully even military people will see what's going on. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Go ahead. One of the things that really bothers me the most is like how Trump is talking about, because he can't control the protesters, but he's talking about martial law in our country. So if we can't protest in public, where are we going to protest? Well, social media is one good, but until how long? I think that if people would have stopped the minute he said, and back when he was running against Hillary, the minute he said, "Russia, are you listening?" Everybody in this country should have came to a complete halt and said, "Wait a minute, this is not right. We need to further investigate this." And we do.
And you see what's happening. I mean, look at what he did with Ukraine. It was such an embarrassing situation. And who the hell? Oh my God, I cannot stand Vance. And he's just like a little boy with the bully big brother. I won't get my brother on you. But what happened with Ukraine? Look how the European nations, Germany, all of them came out in support, and within days came together with millions of dollars in a package to help support them. It said, you know, we want the U.S. to reconsider, to basically wake the hell up, quit being this freaking dictator that you want to be, and help your allies. Well, he's distancing us from, we don't have allies. He wants America first and only. Well, if we came to a world war, guess what? America first and only. You better hope that Putin has your back, which unfortunately I would hate, you know, or China, but he's already picked fights with China. I mean, he's endangered the American people more than he's done any saving. He's not doing anything at all that we can consider saving or supporting the American people. It's all inclusive about himself and his rich buddies.
Well, you know, not only that, I think I saw something this morning that it made me stop and think, you know, how their behavior was when they had that meeting about Ukraine, and how he was like, "You need to thank us, and you need to this, and you need to that." And I'm like sitting there going, when 9/11 happened here in our country, and all those, there was like 99 countries, I think it was, that came to our aid. Not one of those countries came back and said, "Well, you need to do it. It was your fault." Number one, they didn't say that. They didn't ask us to repay them for whatever. I mean, that's the whole reason behind NATO, isn't it? Is so that we're all, and he wants to dismantle NATO too. It's like, he doesn't care about what's supposed to happen. He just cares about how it's going to benefit him.
Yeah. And what kind of world order power does he think he has that would dismantle, or even the UN or any of these allies? He can take us out of that, but he has no power to say, "Hey, you can't be." I mean, really, even now. Then I hope I didn't skip over your point, because this is kind of a segue, but he bragged about these beautiful tariffs going to make us all rich. Well, if you have half a brain, you know that's not true. You're not going to get rich. He's going to get rich. You know, Musk, and anybody who has billions of dollars is going to be a trillionaire, right? And so what he doesn't disclose is, and I'm glad Canada and Mexico is most of the oil that we have as Americans, that we use to heat our homes, to power our cars at this time, that comes in pipes that have been exclusively directed to the United States. Well, and they start cutting that off, what's going to happen? I mean, we're not just talking about food prices, but where can you go if gas is going to be $10 a gallon because we have a shortage? What are you going to do? It's not going to hurt them. There are plenty of countries that will take that resource. There are plenty that'll say, "Hey, Canada, give it to us. Mexico, give it to us." And we know Mexico's already working with China on building factories. They're the automakers building factories down there. And all these people that Trump thinks he's punishing by deporting from this country is probably the best thing he ever did for them, because they could probably go get a nice manufacturing job and not worry about being out in 105-degree weather picking carrots or whatever it is, picking onions. So, I mean, the joke's on him, and I
Mhm.
think it'll show itself.
I agree with you. I absolutely agree with you because I mean, and that's basically what he's doing. He's making a joke of America.
Hmm.
Um, a president's job is supposed to protect the citizens at all costs, and right now he's not protecting the citizens. He's protecting Elon Musk. He's protecting himself. He's protecting his family. He is not protecting the citizens in the United States. And the same goes with the Congress, people in Congress. And that leads us right back to Bobart and Evans. They are
Right.
not doing anything for the people that live in their communities.
Right.
They're catering to a rich, lustrous man, is all they're doing.
Hmm.
They're bowing down and saying, we're giving you all of our congressional rights to do whatever you want instead of taking the power that they have in their hands to protect the people that live within this country.
Right. Yeah,
You know,
you're right. And Gabe Evans is just giving a big boot in the rear end to even his own people who
uh,
he used to campaign on. And Latinos, you better wake up. This
right?
man has not done anything for you. In fact, right now he's blaming Latino people and immigrants and
Mm,
refugees inappropriately and untruthfully
mm,
for all the problems that they're run over in Aurora. Well, we talked about that earlier. That's just not
right.
true.
Uh-huh.
Um, so yeah, this guy is. It's going to be my number one mission to make sure that he goes home
Yeah, and
in
we're going to work on
in a
that
couple
together,
years.
I think, because I think that's pretty much everybody's mission here right now. I
Yeah.
mean, when the your community organizers have to be the ones to collect the food to take care of the people that are poor and whatever, that's a bad sign for any country. I mean, we shouldn't have to be. I mean, we're everybody's strapped as it is, you know. But even though we're strapped, we're still giving to the community. We're going, okay, maybe I can go without this so that I can give to this person or to this
Right.
community or whatever. But even when you go and you talk about, I mean, because we've talked a lot about a lot of things, but one of the things I think that we need to talk about too is the LGBTQ community. Telling people, oh, we're going to take care of your marriage rights. Oh, you're trans. Well, you can't be trans anymore. You can't have that surgery or anymore. I mean, really? I mean, this is just it's wrong. It's just wrong. These people need to educate themselves on the community to find out who these people really are.
Right.
I have met a lot of trans people in our community alone. I didn't even know they existed until I met my first one, and it was like,
Hmm.
oh, okay. But you know what? That person's no different than me. The only difference between her and I is I was born with a set of ovaries, but I don't have them anymore, so that's okay. But
Hmm.
you know what I'm saying? That's the only difference. That they can't carry a child. That's the only
Right.
difference.
Right.
And because these people that are running for office or they're in office don't care enough about their communities to learn about the people that live in the communities. They rather use fear about those people in the communities to be able to manipulate the process. Is basically what it is.
I agree. I
Uh,
agree. Yeah, I think that the whole thing is it's always been intriguing to me that we have a party, and I'm not going to blanket statement because I think there are a lot of Republicans that feel the way that we feel about this
uh,
current administration. And I'm not putting anybody down. If you do, we want to work with you, right?
uh,
Because if you're feeling the frustration, that's what we're feeling, party
uh,
aside, political party
right.
aside. We need to come together as Americans
Uh,
to stop this disgraceful show of taking from America and giving to the rich. So it's amazing to me that um, party that wants smaller government, getting government out of our lives, letting us, have the free will to be who we are, given our constitutional right to live to happiness and all of that. are the ones that are perpetuating restrictions on others who just want to do the same, right? I'm a bisexual. I have been married to a man. I am now married to a woman. Did that change the person that I am? No. You know, that was my personal choice and really nobody else's damn business, right?
Yeah,
So why
true.
make laws against me because you're not? That's just out and out discrimination. That
Well,
has nothing to do with country or we look at the abortion issue, same thing. It's discriminatory.
mm, yeah, it really is. Oh, don't even get me started on the freaking abortion thing because that just makes me madder than heck. Um,
That'll be
but
for
you,
another.
yeah, right. But it amazes me how these people, like I said before, these people, they sit there and they tout that they're Christians. Um, and Christ said that we're supposed to love our neighbors as we would ourselves. This is not love. This is not treating people equally. And how can you stand there and say you're a Christian if you're going to go, oh, except, I'll love somebody except for if they're like with an LGBTQ, or I'll love them unless they're, they don't have dark skin or something like that. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense to me how they can sit there and they can tout, oh, this is what I believe. And then they wonder why people are leaving the Republican Party. They wonder why people are leaving the churches. One of their goals is to make this a Christian state. And it's like, no, I'm sorry. Separation of church and state means separation of church and state. And if they don't understand the history of religion, not just in our country, but other countries, because I think this goes all the way back to the beginning of Christianity. If they do not know the history, then maybe they need to get educated. Because the whole pretense that I understand, the whole reason that we were set up as a non-religious country was because of the persecutions that happened in the past. I mean, look at the Catholic Church, burning witches, the Inquisition, all these things that have happened. And it just doesn't make any sense to me that we would want to go back to that kind of thing. But that's where we're going with this. And that's what's making...
Right. They erase history, right? They have all these rules on what you can teach. But you're right, Kimber. The first American refugees came from Europe, right? On the Mayflower. And they were escaping religious persecution.
That's true. It's absolutely true. I mean, when I think about, my husband was from Belfast, Ireland. And one of the reasons why he came to this country was because of the troubles that were in Belfast. Because their racism was based on religion, Catholics against Protestants. And if you go back, you can go all the way back to the 14th century and you can see the fights between all this stuff. And it just, I don't know, it just makes me so angry that people keep thinking, oh, well, we're a God-fearing country, blah, blah, blah. We have God we trust on the dollar bill, and there's God in the Pledge of Allegiance. Well, you know what, people, that wasn't put out there until the 1950s. My daughter once said to me, hey, well, they have this scripture on the mall down in Washington, D.C. She goes, if we weren't a Christian country, then why would it say that? And I'm like, because the founders didn't put that there. It was somebody else that thought it was a good idea. Right?
Yeah. Someone who wanted to single out, right? They didn't like the idea of Muslims or...
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if you really think about it, the majority, I mean, George Washington, I can't even go through all of them right now. But anyways, if you go back that way, none of them were actually Christians. They believed in a spirit greater than themselves, but they didn't call him God. Or else, because if they wanted God, us to be a God-fearing country, whatever, they would have put that in the Constitution, but they didn't. They didn't even use God one time that I can think of. So yeah, we're in a really funny place right now, Stace. I don't know. It's scary.
I know.
Scary
Yeah,
times.
I had a friend that kind of talked about this on one of my threads on Facebook, and she put it perfectly that the Christian sect that like Bober
Uh-huh.
ascribes to, what do they call themselves? The
Christian nationalists or something. Yeah.
nationalists. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So it seems to me, because my friend put it, that the Christian churches up to date are more at making God in their image. God hates
Mm-hmm.
who they hate. God loves who they love. God
Mm-hmm.
favors who they favor. What the
Mm-hmm.
Bible proclaims, we are
Right.
made in God's image, and we're supposed to strive to live up to that standard.
Mm.
The other standard's easy. It's
Well,
just hate people and tell everybody God hates them too. It's ridiculous.
right. That it is ridiculous because that's not what I mean. When if you really go and you follow the scripture as far as Christ was about love. He was about healing the sick, giving to the poor, things like that. That to me, that's Christianity. This hatred stuff to me, that is not. And you just said like, God in our image. And I remember I read something somewhere where it's like Christ lives through us. So if Christ lives through us and God is our own image, are we not funneling what that is? And then maybe these people that are like angry and deceitful and have all this hatred for other people, including, people with disabilities and the poor and stuff like that, maybe that makes them the devil. If
Mm.
you really think about it, maybe the
Yeah.
devil's within them. That's kind of one of the things I keep thinking about, you
Oh,
know?
yeah. No, the Bible talks about that too, in
Uh-huh.
Antichrist, and don't be deceived. I think
Uh,
also
well,
Paul.
yeah. In fact, you know what? Someplace it talks about how like that Christians will be blinded and they'll
Mhm.
follow like sheep to slaughter, and that's what I feel like that's happening right now in our country. Is these Christians are just all going along, going, okay, Trump's going to save us or whatever. Well, you know what? I'm sorry, people. Trump is not the second coming of Christ.
Right.
There's just no doubt in my mind that he is not the second coming of Christ. And he's not going to fix all these problems. All he's going to keep doing is making them worse for the American people.
Doesn't care, right? He doesn't
Mm-mm.
care.
No.
People, he does not care about
Mm-mm.
you
No,
unless you have millions or billions of dollars. It's
that's right.
heartbreaking, but accept it. Open your eyes, look at it, and accept it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry
Before
to give
it's
you the bad news.
right. Yeah. I think that people need to stop sticking their head in the sand
Mhm.
and start paying more attention. I always love when my kids always go, well, I listen to everything, but what they're listening to is that all this right wing stuff. It's like, oh, we
Mhm.
listen to, I can't think of the guy's name right now. Um, or the news
CNN.
station. No, I think it has something to do with Rogan or something like that. But they have
Um,
a right wing like thing that I can't even think of the name of it right now. But the thing is that cracks me up is this: they say they listen to everything, and I'm like, really? Because if you did, you would know what was actually happening in our country. Do you
mhm.
listen to your congressional leaders when they're on the floor or in a house, meeting or something like that to hear the ridiculous things that they're saying? I mean, you can't just watch Fox News or uh, CNN or ABC. You just can't do that anymore. And with as
Right.
much information that we have at our fingertips today, people should be able to find out what the truth is. I think that's one of the reasons why I like using ground news, because I can
Mhm.
get the right, I can get the left, and I can get just the middle,
Right.
right there. What's the actual truth? What's really happening in my country? And then I can research it. I,
Mhm. Yeah, research, people.
uh-huh.
Don't believe
Yeah,
anybody.
no,
Believe yourself.
yeah.
Research.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it. That's it. That's just it. I mean, you can find more stuff out about our country by doing the research than you can by listening to Fox News. I mean, because all they're doing is just giving you their opinions or Well, especially Fox News. I mean, I don't know how they get away with the lies that they get away with. I don't even know how those people live with themselves, you know? I just
Yeah.
don't
Or
want
even
to
the
be that
omission of
person.
yeah,
Mm,
or the omission of information that they,
uh,
participate in.
yeah, yeah. But I can tell
Yeah.
you, at least in my community, and I think this is one of the reasons why I love Greeley so much, is because there's so much passion here in this little town. I mean, a little city. I know we're not really a town anymore, but there's so much passion. There's so many grassroots people right here in this small little city, and they are willing to do whatever it takes to try to turn things around. Back in February, we had one of the hugest protests here in Greeley. There
Mhm.
was like close to 400 people, and they were all the people that were out there were for the immigrants and the refugees in our community. That's why they were
Yeah.
here. And I think at that time, too, they were really upset. I think one of the things that really upset me that weekend was the fact that when I had heard that 11 or 12 Navajo Indians were picked up in an ice sweep, and I was like, wait a minute, did I miss something here? Because weren't they actually the original landholders that were
Yep.
picking up an ice? Where are we going to send them to? Because this is technically their land, you know?
Right. It's because of the color of their skin. Let's just be blunt.
Right.
And
Yeah.
that's exactly what Gabe Evans is putting forward with this bill
Uh-huh.
he's all proud of. It allows police to pick up people because they suspect they might
Uh-huh.
be immigrants.
Uh-huh.
I'm born here
Uh-huh.
in America. I'm born in Colorado,
Uh-huh.
but I could be picked up, and then that's cost to me to
Uh-huh.
prove my citizenship, spend some time
Uh-huh.
in jail. That's just an unjust bill. And Gabe
Uh-huh.
Evans, you're gonna pay for that shit. He's such a disgrace, stabbing his own people in the back.
Uh-huh.
You're not. They're never gonna look at you like you're one of them, Gabe.
Right. Yeah.
No, they'll take the work you're doing that supports their efforts, but you don't see that they're going to come after you on those same grounds. So what you think you're doing, what you think might be right, well, then one day it's going to be right for you. It's crazy.
Well, I think what Gabe Evans needs to do is realize that the people are telling him the opposite of what his thinking is. So
Mhm.
basically, he's going off of a third of people, like not even a third, maybe 1-2% of the people that agree with his stances. And then there's that other 98% that's going, yeah, no, we're not going to take this anymore. I think this is bigger than all of them, to be honest. I think what's happening that I'm seeing that's happening in our communities is bigger than every senator, every representative, including the Trump administration. And I just don't think that the reality of it all has really hit them yet. And like I said before, I'm really concerned about how that reality is going to come to fruition. But with people getting out and going to protests at Gabe Evans' office and going to Representative Bobart's office, I think that that's a good way of saying pushing back. We have to keep pushing back no matter. That's why this is good for us, Stacey. I mean, talking like this, because we're real people. We are the real people. We are not senators. We are not representatives. We are not elected officials in any way, shape, or form. We are the constituents. And we are telling the people that are governing us that, you know what? No, we're not okay with this. We need you to stand up for us. And if you cannot stand up for us and you cannot protect the citizens that live in this country, then you guys need to move on.
Right. And we will prove that when we say, Gabe Evans, you're fired.
And I can't wait till that day.
I know it. Well, we've had a really great conversation today, Kimber. Just to close up, do you want to let everybody know about maybe some upcoming events? What can we be looking for? And I know I want to plan something with you. I want to be part of that town hall. We'll put a ghost on a chair or something.
Yeah, it's funny because the other day, do you remember the Punch and Judy, the the puppets, Punch and Judy, back in the 60s and 70s. Well, I was thinking about it the other day. I was like, it'd be really fun if we turned all these little representatives and senators or whatever that are not supporting us and turn them into little puppets, make them, and then have like the puppeteer beat Trump or whatever, and just keep, do like a puppet show with them,
Oh, yeah. See, I remember Nolan Andy with the sock guy, but I
Oh
can't
yeah, that
remember
too.
that.
Yeah, right. So, but here in the community, we're working on a larger town hall, with, and we're going to be working with other groups. There will be some smaller town halls going on in different districts. But right now I'm networking with the NoCo Indivisible, so we could try to do something on a larger scale. And that's going to take time. And we have 20 months or something like that before the next election. But we want to make sure that we make an impact with it, and we have to give them the opportunity to say, hey, no, we're not going to show up before we do an empty chair. And I think we're going to try to do that with it, where I think we'll get the cardboard Evans and the cardboard. Actually, there's a cardboard Bobart being in the process right now. They're even going to have a little parasol thing. It sounds really cute. I'm really excited to see how that turns out. But
Are you going to incorporate any Beetlejuice into that?
I don't know. Maybe that's a good idea. We should think about that. That's a good idea, right? Or her with her vape, It's like, doesn't she know it's illegal to smoke marijuana in public places? So, but we are joining with a group called the Courthouse Steps. And there's like a few other groups, and I believe the Latino Coalition was actually listed as one of the groups that's partnering with them. And the first Saturday of every month, we are gathering at 10 o'clock in the morning at the Greeley Courthouse Steps to protest. This last one, we had about 100 people, which was still good. So we'll be doing that, and plus our monthly meetings. And like I said, we have a food drive. So that we can get food out. I think the last I heard, I think we've been able to feed 4 or 5 different families with one of the takes from the donations. So, I feel like we're out there, we're in the community, and we're trying to show our love over their hate. And I think that's what's important.
Absolutely. And I thank you for all the work that you do. I know, it's noticed and it's effective. So how can people participate? I mean, how would they know in these? Because I agree with you. I love this large event, but we need micro events, right? All the time. Keep, telling people, hey, you don't have to be isolated in your frustration and your, whether you were blindsided, you voted for him, and, there's a community that supports you, but how can they participate?
Well, they could always reach out to us at Greeley-Weld Indivisible at gmail.com. We also have a website that is just starting to get put up. They could also reach out to Indivisible National, and they can find local groups in their community, that they can join and get active. We're open. We have close to 1,000 members right now. When the election, at the time of the election on November 5th, we had 659 members just on our Facebook page. Just on the Facebook page. This doesn't include email people. And I was on there, I think, last night, and we had 920 some odd people just on Facebook. But we are making ourselves available to Blue Sky, and other different social medias. And I think that's the best way. I mean, they could always join us. Our next meeting is this coming this Saturday, March 15th. We will be holding it at the Unitarian Church right here in Greeley. And we have been trying to also provide those meetings by Zoom or some, being able to get them out there and they can get involved. That meeting that's coming this weekend starts at 11 in the morning, and it should run till like about 12:30, 1 o'clock. And what we've done is, instead of having committees, because there's an I in committee, We've decided to start having teams, and we have teams set up for all the various different types of things that are happening, from LGBTQ immigrants all the way down to the people with disabilities, healthcare, things like that. And we will be starting to do educational series in the community, which I think will be beneficial for people that want to know more about what's happening in the country. I
Great.
think I said that right.
What
Yeah.
I can commit to do is when I publish this very wonderful talk with you, I can put some of that information down in the notes for people if you really want to get involved. The Greeley-Weld Indivisible and any Indivisible group is really a great resource because it's number one, doesn't cater to any party. It's just wanting to defend what's happening right now that really is anti-American. So basically, it's a defense of the flag and the Constitution. So I appreciate all the work you do, Kimber. I definitely will be out at some point and join you in these micro events, and then of course the big one. So like I keep saying to everybody, we'll get Gabe Evans somehow. We'll get him the information even if he's there or not. So we'll make it public.
Yes, absolutely. Thank
Well,
you
I'd
so
love
much
for you
for
to come
having me.
back. Oh, thank you. It's been a great discussion. I think this is the first time I went an hour, and it didn't even feel like it to me. So
I know, right?
well, Kimber, keep up the good work. To you and to all that are fighting this good fight, and you're an inspiration to us all.
Thank you, Stacy. Have a nice day.
We'll see you. Bye bye.